Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a really high-stakes bet on the future, made by a company in an industry that's super crucial, but honestly, most of us never even see. This is a story all about ambition, risk, and yeah, total control. So let's just start with a question to frame this whole thing. What if the key to really winning in this high-tech future we're all living in isn't about inventing some shiny new thing, but about absolutely mastering an industry that's been around for 30 years? Well, that's pretty much the core of Stallion India's big plan. They're using decades of know-how to try and dominate the markets of tomorrow. All right, let's get into it. First up, Stallion's massive ambition. We're talking about a transformation from just being a gas distributor to becoming a fully integrated powerhouse. So what in the world are we even talking about? Specialty gases? Well, think of them as these invisible chemicals that, believe it or not, power just about everything in our modern lives. And I mean, they are everywhere. Seriously. They're the fluorochemicals that cool your car's AC. They're the sterile propellants inside medical inhalers. They're what puts out fires and suppression systems. And crucially, they're the ultra-pure gases you have to make the semiconductor chips that run, well, all of our electronics. Okay, now this is where Stallion's strategy gets really smart. See, you've got two kinds of customers. There are the big original equipment manufacturers, the OEMs. But Stallion, they focus heavily on what's called the aftermarket. And what's that? It's the huge service and repair world. And the best part? The pricing is dynamic and the profit margins are way, way better. But here's the thing. Their control over this profitable aftermarket didn't just happen overnight. Nope. It's all about mastering that last mile of delivery, and it comes from a head start they've been building for 30 years. Just look at this journey. It's so deliberate, so steady. This was not an overnight success story. We're talking about 3 decades of patiently building, piece by piece, to create a network that covers all of India. From their start back in '92, right up to the new facilities they're building out for 2025. This all comes down to a key business idea called forward integration, and for Stallion, it's basically their superpower. By building out this huge network of facilities all over India, they put themselves right on their customers' doorsteps. I love this analogy. It's like a baker who doesn't just make the bread, they own every single bakery that sells it. And listen to this. The CEO himself explains the advantage perfectly. He says his plant is just 10 minutes away from a huge customer like Daikin. Think about that. It means they can do just-in-time delivery. That closeness just destroys the competition on logistics costs and speed. It's a massive, massive edge. So, with this incredible distribution network as their foundation, they're now ready to make their next big move. This is where they aim for the high-tech future, making a huge bet on where the demand is going next. And they are not messing around. They're building a massive new facility. We're talking a capacity of 7,200 metric tons a year, all for producing HFOs. And these are the next-gen, much more environmentally friendly refrigerants. And that's not all. At another facility, they're adding capacity for 1,200 metric tons of liquid helium and other ultra-pure gases. And who needs that stuff? You guessed it, the booming electronics, solar, and fiber optics industries. So why? Why all these huge investments? Well, it's pretty clear. They are positioning themselves to be the supplier for India's absolutely exploding semiconductor industry. I mean, look at these numbers. It's a market that's projected to almost triple in size by 2030. That's a 13% growth rate, year after year. Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing, right? Of course not. This incredibly ambitious plan has some serious risks, and they're all centered on a very volatile global supply chain. And this chart, wow, it shows their single biggest vulnerability in a really stark way. A massive dependency on China. We're talking 85%. 85% of the raw materials for this whole industry comes from China. So the big question is, how do you manage a risk that huge? Well, they're very pragmatic about it. They know there's no real alternative to China right now, so their strategy is all built on their 30 years of experience. They keep a lot of inventory on hand to protect against sudden price jumps and use their deep market smarts to anticipate problems and always have a plan B and a plan C. Okay, so this all brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the end game. Stallion's ultimate vision here is to control the entire chain from the very first molecule all the way to the final market. And their whole strategy really breaks down into these 3 clear steps. Step 1 was the foundation, mastering distribution with that forward integration. Step 2 is the leap they're taking now, building these new facilities for high-value products. And step 3, that's the end game. It's called backward integration. This is where they plan to actually make the core chemicals themselves. To go back to our baker, it's not just owning the bakeries. Now they're buying the flour mill and maybe even the wheat farm. And what's the potential payoff for this whole grand plan? Well, the company is projecting some seriously impressive growth. Get this, a 30 to 35% compounded annual growth rate every year for the next 3 years. Which kind of leaves us with this one big thought-provoking question, right? In a world that feels more and more uncertain, is the smartest bet you can make to control everything from the molecule all the way to the market? That is Stallion's high-stakes bet. And really, only time is going to tell if it pays off.